PNC Unfiltered is back. Time for some professional bro commentary on John Kennedy's rapid fire questions of Kash Patel on the FBI, discussing the merit of politicizing the FBI. Let's see where this goes.
I don't think there's any merit to it, but let's check
We
it
could
out.
do it.
I just want to say for the record that Chairman Grassley is the greatest chairman God ever put breath in.
Who's the
And would
goat?
somebody please tell Grassley I said that?
What a guy, dude.
You've made a lot of people mad, haven't you,
Aw.
Mr. Patel?
Seems so, Senator.
You think maybe you've made the right people mad?
As my FBI agents, the BRIC agents told me when I was running cases with them across this country and around the world, if you're not ticking off some people, you're not doing your job right.
Ooh.
My colleague and friend Senator Durbin called you a conspiracy theorist. You remember that?
I do, Senator.
You were instrumental in revealing that the Trump-Russia election collusion hoax was a hoax, weren't you?
Yes, sir. I was a lead investigator.
Sounds to me like we need to get some new conspiracy theories because all the old ones turned out to be true.
Wait, I got a couple for you. I got a couple.
What you got? You got some zingers?
Well, let's just consider the fact that secular, occultist, atheist, anti-God, suicidal losers run the government. And that's what the bureaucracy is made up of. And if we don't dispel with secularism in the U.S. and return back to a traditional Christian state, then we're going to be overrun by communism within the next 20 years. That's just a fact. I don't even know if you consider that conspiracy theory. But that's a fact.
It's definitely an opinion.
It's at the very least an opinion.
Well, I think it's wishful thinking to think we could get back to being a solely Christian nation with no secular tendencies. I think we can operate. I think I'm in agreement with you. We need to get back to some sense of Christian values and kind of reassess like that foundation of our country that it was built on a little bit. But I don't think if we have to dispel everybody who's a secularist in the government. I think that's just going to be kind of a way of moving forward.
Like getting rid of them. It's just like the tone of the country needs to be more Christian. Did you know that the writers of the Constitution said that it was only effective for a Christian nation? That if it was a secular nation, it wouldn't apply because they wouldn't have the same moral standard.
All the countries in the world were pretty much based on religion.
Yeah, but look where that's taken us, dude. It's still religious. It's just like a secular religion. It's the wokeism, communism religion. Communism was literally a direct opposite of Christianity. Like Mao specifically said that he hated Christianity and that communism was the new state religion.
The people back then who said it would fail if it wasn't a solely Christian nation, there's no way that they would predict that a nation, the state that we're in right now, would fail. You know what I mean? Because they'd never seen anything like what we have now. Like I don't even think back then they could have predicted we were going to become the number one superpower and global influence in the world. You know what I mean?
But I mean, look at how well the Constitution is done for the U.S. But look how far apart, like all of the individuals in this country of different ethnic groups, different religious groups, different societal groups, like socioeconomic backgrounds. Look how much they're separated and divided now. And I think a lot of that has to do with the foundational moral values and ethics of these people being so different.
Right.
And a lot of them aren't aligning with the Constitution. I would make the argument that most Democrats don't have a moral foundation that is actually in congruence with the Constitution and the foundational values of this country.
And that's why I said, to a certain extent, we do need people to revert back to some of those values because it's in the Constitution. Like you said, it's based upon Christian values. And that's kind of going to lead into my next point we're going to have later on, is that I think the Constitution is the North Star and we should follow it at all costs.
We'll see. Let's keep it rolling then.
Yeah.
Facts matter, Senator.
Yeah. I mean, conspiracy theorists are up something like 37-0.
We're up. We're up.
We're up. Don't get the vaccine.
You're not saying that everybody at the FBI is bad, are you?
Never said that. I've overwhelmingly said multiple times that 98% of the FBI is courageous, apolitical warriors of justice. They just need better leadership, especially those who participated in these conspiracies that actually turned out to degrade them.
Who put away the Unabomber?
The FBI.
I mean, the Unabomber, I don't know about you guys, but he said a couple things about over-socialization and the urbanization of the U.S. that I think is really important. So if you're interested in, kind of a more historical take from a crazy, a crazy person. This guy was a genius, but he also had a lot of mental problems. This guy perfectly defined the issues that we're facing today a long time ago. So look into that.
Didn't he kill a bunch of people?
Wait, Tim.
He sent bombs to Ivy League schools in the mail.
I'd say that
Timothy
nullifies him
McVeigh.
from being a genius, but we'll keep it moving.
No, he was objectively a genius. He was a mathematician, and he made all the bombs by him. Like he was. It's not like an opinion thing. Like his IQ was off the charts. Yeah.
And his Stalin's stomach for blood.
Brick agents at the FBI.
Who helped investigate Jussie Smollett
What do you call him? They call him
in an effort
Smollett.
of self-aggrandizement set back the fight for minority rights for years?
No.
I think that was local authorities.
It was the FBI that opened an investigation, wasn't it?
Eventually, yes, Senator.
There have been or were some bad people at the FBI and the Justice Department, which work hand in glove, weren't there?
Unfortunately, yes, Senator.
Secretary Clinton's lawyer, a gentleman by the name of Michael Sussman, had a pass to come and go at the FBI building as he wished. Don't you think the American people have a right to know about the details of that?
Not just that, but what a political party was doing with the secure compartment and information facility with direct access to the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Mr.
all
Hunter
about that.
Biden cheated on his income taxes. Didn't pay $1.4 million in income taxes over 4 years.
No, he didn't.
And he filed fraudulent returns. He tried to deduct his hookers as a business expense.
It probably was a business expense.
And they hit him
Unbelievable.
with 2 misdemeanors.
Dog, that was
before there
Trump.
was a public outcry. Don't you think the American people are entitled to know the details of that?
The American people are entitled to a singular form of justice and the details to every public corruption investigation.
You remember Peter Strzok,
I sure do.
one of the lead investigators for Mr. Mueller's Russian collusion hoax?
Yes, Senator.
You remember when the Inspector General, not his colleagues, turned him in? Inspector General found that Mr. Peter Strzok said, quote, sent an email to his girlfriend, quote, just went to a Southern Virginia Walmart. I could smell the Trump support, end quote. Remember that?
He did that while employed at the FBI while working on that investigation.
Do you remember when the IG revealed another email by Mr. Strzok to his girlfriend? Mr. Strzok said, quote, I am riled up. Trump is a fucking idiot. Is unable to provide a coherent answer. End of quote. You remember that?
Peter Strzok said that.
You remember when his girlfriend texted Mr. Strzok, quote, Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? And Mr. Strzok replied, no, he won't. We'll stop it.
We'll stop it.
I do remember their insurance policy.
And then Mr. Strzok testified in front of God and country that never had his political beliefs impacted his work.
Yeah, he was lying.
You believe in the tooth fairy?
When I was a
Just
kid.
fibbing a little bit.
This guy's a genius.
You believe Jimmy Hoffa died of natural causes?
He's also not in the end zone of Giant Stadium.
And then Mr. Strzok got fired, and next thing we know, The FBI and the Department of Justice, after he sued, gave him $1.2 million. Don't you think the American people are entitled to know the details of that?
Absolutely.
Now, I want you to think hard before you answer my next question.
I'm locked in.
Do you believe in the adage that two wrongs don't make a right, but they do make it even?
Senator, I think if anyone commits a wrong in government service, the American public deserve to know the absolute secular detail of that corrupt activity.
When reforming the FBI and the Justice Department, two wrongs don't make a right, but they do make it even, is the wrong approach, isn't it?
That's correct.
And we're going to hold you accountable for that.
I hope you do.
My God.
Now, there's some good people at the FBI.
Lots.
Well, all right. So two wrongs don't make a right. All right. I agree.
This is tying back to what we were talking about earlier, where I said I think our North Star should be the Constitution. All right. And we need to stand firm on those values, even if it means we can't retaliate against people that treated us unfairly with the FBI and political opponents. I think in the end, we still need to have a return to normalcy where these institutions can possibly regain the public respect that they had for that, my entire life, aside from whenever they got corrupted by Democrats over the past 4 years. I think we need to return to normalcy and following the Constitution by word to word. Pete seems to have a different strategy, but let's hear it out.
Give me a sec.
What do you think about following the Constitution?
That's a loaded question. All right. The Constitution is the best document in the history of politics to ever exist. And I think that the Constitution should be followed. My issue is if we have opponents that have no moral boundaries, that don't care about the Constitution, that will do whatever it takes to get more power. They don't care about being hypocrites. Being non-hypocritical is not a value that they care about. They care about winning. The far left cares about winning. Our population is getting younger and younger, and the younger population is skewing further left. So my issue is, if we go this whole apolitical, like, oh, we're going to be super fair route, I think on its face that sounds good. But I think if you're looking at it like from a utilitarian perspective, I think that that's just going to turn out to be a null 4 years for, the FBI. And then when the leftists take control of the government again, that they're going to hype up the amount that they use the FBI for political ends. And I think if we want to win the battle against the far left, I think we have to fight dirty just like they fight dirty. It's not like we're facing other Christians that are, following their values. They just want to win. They want to destroy traditional values. And if we're going to stay with our traditional values, it's like a boomer thought. It's like what all boomers think. It's like, oh, let's just follow what we've always done. It'll work out in the end. It hasn't worked out. It hasn't worked since World War II. We've been losing. We've been losing every fucking year. Every time a Democrat gets in office, they push it further and further to the left. And we just keep being like, oh, let's be super fair here. They've never been fair. Why should we be fair?
Well, I think it's important for us to narrow down this conversation. What we're talking about specifically, all right, is taking the Constitution off the pedestal so that we can pursue political retribution. That's what it boils down to. You started out your point with saying, well, I think the Constitution is the greatest document ever created, created this whole great nation, everything along those sorts. I think we should follow the Constitution. That's what you led with the argument with, all right? So you can't break that. You know what I mean?
Address my point about how the leftists aren't following it either, and they're going to continue to not follow it because they have no moral structures.
Well, the thing is, we don't know exactly how this is going to be handled over the next 4 years. I think.
Yes, we do. We use history. If you don't use history to project into the future, you're just guessing.
Well, let me expand upon my point here. Why I think we don't exactly know what's going to happen if Kash Patel gets confirmed over the next 4 years. Okay, we don't know if there's going to be 0 arrests. Okay, if he wants to go the route of complete, political amnesty, not, essentially giving everybody who broke the law on the Democrat side over the past 4 years, giving them a pass, a little slap on the wrist, don't do that again. or if there's actually going to be investigations. He says he wants to do investigations, okay? All right. And I don't think they're politically aimed investigations. They're investigations aimed at people who, use politics in the FBI. And if they can find, parts where they were not following the Constitution in their role and they broke laws, those people will be arrested. Maybe
Yeah.
they won't. We don't know. I think
Yeah.
some of them will. And I think, okay, if some of those people that were blatantly going against the Constitution and breaking laws, if they end up in jail, I think that takes care of your point of, oh, well, Democrats just going to get worse and worse if we don't do the same thing and start meddling and
Right.
all this other
Right.
stuff. I think, okay, well, if we set the precedent that you will go to jail if you manipulate the system like this, I think that'll be a good enough deterrent. I don't think we need to stoop to their low of a level. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
what they've done is so far out there. You know what I mean? As far as, misuse of the system, it's like we don't even we can literally just send the super bad people to jail and it's going to be like it's like a flare gun. It's like a warning, like, hey, quit trying to overstep. You know what I mean? I think that's all we got to do.
I got a question for you. Do you think that he should arrest Bill and Hillary Clinton?
If he can launch an investigation, he can find crimes.
We know that Bill Clinton and we know that Hillary Clinton silenced the ladies who were abused by Bill Clinton. She like went up to him at a public event and was like, "Thank you for all you've done for us," and like patted him on the back.
Well,
You know, we know they're involved in the Epstein stuff too. So like, what's the deal here? Like, how far does this go? We know that if the leftists were in our position, they would arrest Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. They don't have anything on Trump on the Epstein thing. That's why they haven't arrested him yet.
Well, they have set the precedent by going after Trump for some tax filings.
That's what I'm saying. So like now he's like a felon.
President of going after a
right.
President.
So they would do the same thing if they were in our shoes. Like they would go after Hillary and Bill Clinton and even probably Obama if they were us.
Okay.
But we're not doing it because we're trying to be fair.
Well,
but honestly, I think it's fair to arrest people that committed crimes. There's some plausible deniability with the presidency, but that's different. Like it's like a war scenario, really. It's really if you like launch a war where civilians die, the war crimes don't apply to you necessarily unless you had foresight to understand you'd like kill civilians. But like the whole thing is like Bill Clinton was a predator in office and Hillary Clinton supported that. She also intentionally hid documents that were not on a secure database, which allowed was it Julian Assange and like all those dudes to get killed out in Benghazi?
Yeah, I think that's a tough question you're posing. Let me frame it like this. Okay, so what would be the best possible outcome? What would we want? What would be the best version of the FBI and the United States government? What would that look like? It'd probably look something like there's no politicization. Nobody's sending anybody on the other side to jail over political reasons and stuff like that. All right. So
right. But that's not political to arrest Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton who committed crimes.
That's true. And the Democrats set the precedent for that. Okay.
Right. Here, let me. I got something for you. So you asked what my best case scenario is in this example, and my best case scenario is that the FBI is a part of that larger Christian government structure. The underlying values of our government is Christian in nature. Those principles that we have in the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, are Christian values. They came from a Christian worldview. I think we should follow up with that in the FBI, and so I think it would result in enforcing those edicts that underlie the Constitution. So that would include doing things like LGBTQ activists, they should be jailed.
Whoa.
Sorry. I think drag queen, like Story Hour, those people should be arrested.
Those people should be jailed. You can't be
promoting like all this stuff in the classroom should be jailed. I think the people that are funding these different organizations that are pushing that, like the NGOs and all that, they should be jailed.
Right. But is actually
that's my best case scenario,
LGBT
showing people that we actually care about upholding the underlying values of the Constitution, and the FBI is a part of the government.
But listen, is actually just telling a kid about LGBT stuff. I don't. Obviously, we're on the same page with the trans Story Hour, where this fucking half naked dudes, that's perversion. That needs to be punished. But is there actually any? Are they breaking any laws if you tell a kid about LGBT stuff? That's the thing, is it all comes down to the law.
I don't know if there's a federal law about it. That's why they're doing it. There are state laws like in Florida where you can't talk to a kid under like 5th grade about it. But again, think about what the values of the Constitution are.
I know,
And
but
I
what
think the
exactly?
values would
What,
lead to us understanding that promoting uh, some degraded version of sexuality and promoting it to kids who don't have the ability to
right.
make decisions for themselves is immoral and should be illegal. I care about being immoral more than I care about the laws.
Okay, well then there's an argument there that we need to pass a law against teaching kids about sexuality before high school. Okay, we can agree on that. But what you were saying in the beginning of this, we need to return to Christian values. The Constitution was created on Christian values. So what you just described, I asked you what is the best case scenario. You described an apolitical system because that's the Constitution, that's the foundation of the country. That's what the FBI has always been before the past 4 years, and it was just completely ramsacked by the Democrats. What you're asking for is a return to normalcy. All right, not necessarily political retribution
We've
going
got to
above
find some
board.
congruence here, which I can appreciate. I think that's part of it. But again, I'm not saying use it as a political tool, but it's like they literally arrested Trump on something that you shouldn't be arrested for. Like they were
Right.
misdemeanor charges. There were like
My
some
point.
felonies that he got out on. But again, like he got arrested for something he shouldn't have gotten arrested for. And no one's arresting Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Obama, even George Bush, knowing there wasn't WMDs. There's all that. And again, like for him, it's more of a plausible deniability thing. But if you're looking at like the
Right.
Clintons specifically, like we know they're involved with Epstein. We know that he's a predator. We know that she supported a predator and knew about it. And we also know
Right.
that she was derelicting her duty. She was misappropriating her office by not using a private server with those emails that allowed all those
Okay.
people in Benghazi to die.
I
So we
will
should be
say
using it to arrest people that need to be arrested, that did illegal stuff,
okay,
regardless of
I'm
their
not
status.
against going after people that have committed crimes like Hillary Clinton, but I do want to say I do agree with presidential immunity. I think the founders added that
That's
into
in a
the
war. That's in a
Constitution.
war.
Well, no, you can't arrest a sitting president. That's always been the case. That's presidential immunity. And I
If he
think
gets impeached, if there's an impeachment, then you can.
exactly
But
to go
yeah, Bill
okay, but
Clinton got impeached.
right. But what I'm saying, it before Trump got dragged through that lawsuit. Okay, nobody had ever taken a former president to court. It was always kind of seemed like they have immunity. Don't go after these guys. I think that needs to stay upheld. I think maybe we need to do a better job at electing leaders. If one of them's fucking Bill Clinton, he's chicks. Like, okay, maybe we need to learn from that one. But if we didn't have that presidential immunity, do you think? I mean, Trump would already be in jail. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
But since
Democrats would
we have
already
the
find
position
something.
right now to use it, we should clear the swamp so it can't be used in the future. Like I'm saying, fully clear the swamp. That includes the Clintons, but that also includes bureaucrats in the FBI, in the DEA, in the ATF, in the CIA, and all these like nonprofit organizations, these
People that broke
PACs
the
and all
law.
this. All of them should be subject to the law, just like everybody else, regardless of their connections. So we need to do
Right.
that immediately.
And
And if that gets done in a comprehensive manner, then it won't happen again in the future.
that's exactly what Kash Patel not in this clip, but what Kash Patel said before was that one of the Democrats asked him, "Are you going to go after all these political opponents?" And his response was, "He's not going. Nobody who hasn't broken the law will be taken to court or arrested or anything. All right, he's not going after people who haven't broke the law. That should be the standard." And I agree. That's where Cash Patel stands, but he also stands with he wants a return to normalcy within the department where it's not like he doesn't want to do the exact same thing the Democrats have done as far as the politicization. My view is we shouldn't go after the next Democrat nominee like they went after Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
That's
wouldn't do that
essentially
either.
what we're
I
getting
agree.
down to. We
Yeah,
don't
I
want to
agree.
start launching phony investigations into Democrat political opponents. That's the gist of this whole thing. It's not to not arrest people who have done crimes because that there's always been precedent for that. That's what the FBI director is supposed to do. That might have not been what they've done the past few years because we know how fucking corrupt it's been. But it's a return to normalcy. Arrest the criminals. I mean, if you want to talk about arresting Bill Clinton, that's a former president. That's where maybe we're on troubled waters. I'm not too sure where I would stand on that. But I think in
Like
large
George
part,
Soros, like I again, like it's not really a return to normalcy if you have this completely comprehensive analysis and arrest all these oligarchs and politicians.
you can't arrest all the oligarchs, though. You can only arrest certain people where they've had instances of breaking the law in their
Yeah,
request.
right. But like
The
think about
reason
like
there's
George
so
Soros.
many oligarchs and bureaucrats is because it's constitutional. Like they can work themselves up to those positions. Like that, there's nothing in the law that stops them from doing that. We might not like it, We might
Right,
think
right.
that's a
But
terrible part of the system.
yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
like, think about George Soros. He's funding DAs in big cities that are going out of their way to give like minority criminals, cashless bail. They can just get out and they're just going to leave and never get rearrested, or they'll get like a lower sentence than like a white person that committed the same crime. It's obviously against the Constitution too. Like, so all this stuff that Soros is doing, he thinks we
On
should
the morals of the
depopulate.
Constitution. That's what they were getting at whenever they were talking about the whole eye for an eye. Doesn't make it fair, but it makes it even. Okay. What they're getting at in this is they don't want to see the Republicans or Kash Patel, if he gets confirmed, use the FBI in the same way that they have been using it. Right.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
don't. And what that entails is going after the next Democrat nominee, launching phony investigations, and everything along those lines. All right.
yeah.
I think they try to poach some stuff out of him that's like, oh, well, are you going to go after this person? Because that's a person that's actually, suspected to have committed crimes, and people are talking about launching investigations. And like they try to poach that out of him and try to say that that's politicization, but it's really not. It's just enforcing the law. Uh,
Right.
so I
It's
think
equally enforcing the law. Yeah, I agree.
exactly. So I think in the end we actually agree.
We're on the same page.
We're on the
Anyway,
same
that's
page.
it for PNC Unfiltered. We gave you our unfiltered thoughts. We'll see you next time. Pop back in with us. Bang bang.